All right, guys, we're going to talk about The Witcher and Netflix. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And this is Clownfish TV. And this is another example of a piece of media that the press tried to destroy.
Right.
And it backfired spectacularly.
I think people are just like, oh, the press says to hate it? Well, sign me up.
What's the big deal? The Witcher on Netflix is supposedly its biggest launch ever.
Yeah, bigger than Stranger Things, guys.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the media, namely some outlets like Entertainment Weekly, tried to destroy the show. They're like, it's so bad, we're not even going to watch it. We're not even going to watch more than 2 episodes and give it an F to try to deter you from seeing it. And I think that there's more going on than the quality of the show.
Yeah.
I think that there are some things in the show that they don't like. We saw how they tried to tank it because of the Yennefer storyline, saying that they were, promoting ableism and all this other
They've
trash.
tried everything they could think of to tank this one.
Yeah, it's the Joker all over again. Like we were talking about before we started the recording. This is the television equivalent of the Joker. Meanwhile, the media is pushing stuff like crappy Doctor Who and crappy Star Trek, Batwoman. They're all over love Batwoman.
They love Star Trek Picard too.
Yeah, so we know that's going to be terrible.
And what's going on is these people that, as we've said repeatedly, is that these journalists, in quotes, have got themselves up on these pedestals of these blogs, and now they're trying to be the moral authority to everyone else and police everyone else on what they can and can't like. They're going to tell you, they're the gatekeepers, the tastemakers. They're going to tell you what's good and what's not. So my recommendation is just to go the opposite of whatever they say, and you're good to go.
Yeah, sometimes you get something that everybody can universally agree on is trash, like Rise of Skywalker or something. Like nobody's happy about that one. But The Witcher got a bad rep. It really did. Now, I do know some fans of The Witcher games and books are not happy with some of the changes to the show. I get that. I completely get that. And we said before, we actually gave Witcher a very good review. It's one of the few series in the last couple of years we actually wanted to binge, Yeah,
that Stranger Things we did too.
Stranger Things we did. So it was surprising. Like, maybe it's because our expectations were so low because of the media saying how awful it was. But I'm like, I watched one episode. I'm like, I like this.
Yeah, it was.
I like it quite a bit.
It was really confusing until they put the timelines in place. But it was well done. It was good. And Henry Cavill, I mean.
Yeah, we get Henry Cavill.
Well, no, he's right there.
Yeah, he is. And he actually went to bat. Well, okay.
That's right. I'm just doing it to annoy Neon. That's why I do it.
He went to bat for the fans, too.
Because then he gets all jealous and is cute. Anyway.
It's okay. Henry Cavill. I can't compete with Henry Cavill. I know I can't.
Yes, you can, because you're actually here.
That's why you're with me. You're here, and I don't have a chance with Henry Cavill. So, I just gotta go with it.
I love you. I think your butt's better. It's all good.
But yeah, it's, and he went to bat for the fans too. He said fans, don't call them toxic. They have a right to be passionate about stuff.
Right.
And, he's a fan of The Witcher, obviously. So, I got to give him props for that. I'd rather him do this than Superman.
I agree.
I'd rather, So anyway, this is coming from Variety. Now, before we get into it, I gotta give the shill. Please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're we're heading toward 100,000. We're at 90,000.
We're getting there, guys.
Yeah, we're slowing down January though. Nobody wants to, because we're not complaining about Star Wars as much.
Oh, that's okay. I think everybody's tired.
I'm tired of Star Wars.
God. Anyway.
It has to be like a really, really dumb story for us to talk about. But The Witcher, it's on track to be Netflix's biggest TV show premiere ever. The company claims. Now, that's the thing about Netflix. You never know what the truth is, but they never pass on an opportunity to crow about their numbers.
Yes.
You just have to trust them.
Yeah, trust us. It's the real thing.
Right. But that's okay, because I think it is a big hit. And they're actually using Google Trends now to show that The Witcher has more interest than The Mandalorian.
And The Mandalorian's really good, so,
Yeah, we actually got 2 good streaming shows. What happened?
To be fair, the Netflix platform has far more subscribers.
Yes.
Than the Disney Plus does. Just say. But a lot of people use the Disney Plus to get their free week and then binge The Mandalorian and then cancel.
They're out. Yeah. So Variety, Netflix said The Witcher, the fantasy series starring Henry Cavill, is pacing to be its biggest first season original TV series ever. The Witcher debuted on December 20th and was chosen to be watched by 76 million customer households for the first 4 weeks of release, according to the company. Now, they don't have like a Nielsen's or anything that can verify third party. That would appear to mean that some 46% of Netflix subscribers as of the end of 2019 watched The Witcher over that time span.
Wow, that's a lot.
But there's a caveat with the household viewer number, which isn't verifiable independently.
And Disney does this a lot too. They say, so you have to take their word for it on Disney Plus and such. So
yeah, Netflix changed the definition of what constitutes a view. Now, according to the company, it's measuring accounts that chose to watch and did watch for at least 2 minutes, long enough to indicate the choice was intentional. Previously, Netflix reported viewing figures based on the number of accounts that had viewed a TV episode or movie at least 70% complete.
Okay, so to make sure their numbers are higher, you watch for 2 minutes, so you count.
Okay, now, well, I guess you can watch it for a couple minutes and be like, yeah, I don't care. YouTube does that too. They don't actually count it as a video view unless you watch so much of a percentage of it. Facebook got in trouble for that. Facebook was actually artificially inflating its view count on videos because if people just like watched it for like a second, they're like, oh, that's a view.
Autoplay or whatever.
Yeah, autoplay or whatever. That's a view, and that's not the case anymore. So the new methodology, which Netflix said is similar to the way YouTube tracks view counts or how the BBC iPlayer reports rankings. So people could be watching 2 minutes of Doctor Who. Oh, they watched Doctor Who.
The best views ever.
Best views ever.
Oh, when did they change it for BBC? Was it before or after this new season? Because the new season has the worst, rating. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. They said this is how the New York Times ranks the site's most popular articles. Will treat short and long titles that are treated equally, leveling the playing field for all types of our content, including interactive content, which has no fixed length. Okay, so that you gotta take that into consideration. But I will say that there is a lot of buzz about this show.
There is.
It does not surprise me at all, given the buzz around it, that it is incredibly popular. Whether or not it's more popular in Stranger Things, which, given the MA rating, I'm kind of like, is it really more popular?
No, I think it is. I'll tell you why. Like we had Joker, which was the high, and we had Deadpool. They were like both ranked really high for being R-rated films. I think people are just tired of being told they can't watch R-rated films and R-rated shows, and they're just like, I can watch it if I want. I'm an adult, and so there's an audience for this out there that have been, back in the '80s they used to have R-rated stuff all the time. Used to
RoboCop was like a huge hit. Aliens was a huge hit.
And it was a big deal. And now there's this trend to try to, to get it down to PG-13s for bigger, for more people can come see it or whatever. And I think that, people have been like, I'm tired of this. I'm an adult. I want to watch R-rated stuff. And I think that's part of it. I do.
Yeah, I think you actually turn people off because now, they're talking about, Deadpool coming to the MCU, and they're like, if it's going to be PG-13, what's the fun in that?
Right. So, yeah, exactly. Deadpool's, comics, everything. Everybody knows Deadpool's rated R.
Yeah.
For 100% certainty. And, Joker was R, and it did really well. And Witcher is rated R, and it's doing really, really well. I mean, even Stranger Things was, PG-13?
Yeah, I would say that season 3, though, Stranger Things
it should have been maybe possibly R.
Yeah, there were a couple episodes that the gore was kind of, I was like, wow, this is, for Stranger Things, this is pretty gross.
Yeah.
Not spoil it, but there's
you watch horror movies all the time. Well, I can't watch it.
You're like, it doesn't even fit. I'm like, it's fake. I don't care.
You see, but I'm the opposite. Like, things stick with me for years. I can't get it out of my head, so
I'll tell you,
I'd rather not see it at all.
The only horror movies that have freaked me out, and there haven't been a whole lot, but the only one and it's because I watched it when I was a kid, because it was on HBO or Showtime, The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, I know, you've told me.
Because it was body horror, and it was just done, it wasn't like, because I used to watch, okay, so here's the thing, because I guess I'm pretty messed up, I don't know. No, I was an 80s kid. I used to watch horror movies with my grandpa when I was a kid. I was watching R-rated movies when I was like 9 years old. We used to watch Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and Pap, he thought it was hilarious to see people's heads get smashed. I don't know.
But back then it wasn't as bad as they are today.
No, RoboCop, I was watching RoboCop when I was like 9 or 10 years old, So it wasn't that big of a deal, but I was also watching a lot of stuff scrambled that I shouldn't be watching because that was the 80s too. Anyway. I just had to...
Wait, what?
Anyway,
Did you just admit to watching like the porn channels?
It was on like Showtime and it was scrambled, but it's not.
You can't see anything on the scrambled channel.
You can imagine.
You could not imagine. It was scrambled.
Anyway,
you couldn't see anything. It was scrambled.
Okay, so kids,
now you could hear me audio a little bit, but other than that, it was scrambled.
So kids today are like, we don't understand this scrambling. What is this scrambling that you speak of?
Kids are just admitted to this thing. I tried to watch porn when I was a kid, but it was scrambled.
It was scrambled. That was the only channel.
My mom is watching this one. I knew it. No, sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to admit this because we're past the statute of limitations. So when I was growing up, I had a family member who worked with a guy who worked for the cable company, and we had a box.
We knew a guy who knew a guy.
We knew a guy who knew a guy, and we had a box. And admit it, everybody had a damn cable box back in the day. The black, well, it wasn't black. It was actually kind of wood
They called
grain.
it the black box.
Anyway, we got all of, this was like the 80s version of Sailing the High Seas. We got all the channels except for Playboy. They blocked out Playboy, so I couldn't watch it. But that's how I watched The Fly. That's how we watched Nightmare on Elm Street. That's how we watched all these movies that technically, legally, we shouldn't have watched, but we did because we had the magic box.
Anyway, Witcher.
So I've seen some shit. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can't watch that stuff because, well, I wasn't allowed to as a kid, but there's a good reason. I'm one of those people that I can't separate. It stays with me for years and years and upsets me, and I end up in therapy over Bambi. So, you know, and that's a true story. So I'm just saying,
I was watching teenagers get their heads cut off, and you're like,
well, there was a lot. There was family death and stuff involved too. That I couldn't separate that. But I'm just saying, it's not something that my parents let me watch, and they had good reason not to. And to this day, I choose not to watch a lot of that stuff because I just don't like it. It's just, to me. But I'll watch Henry Cavill chop up people though, because I'm not looking at the things he's chopping. Though I did cover my eyes when they were killing things unnecessarily. I was so upset.
Yeah, that poor monster that
I don't want to talk about it. No, I'm upset now. I don't want to talk about it.
Anyway, back to The Witcher. We took this detour around back to The Witcher. It is a good show. I love it. I love it. And I know people were upset about the changes, and I can't talk about the changes from the book and the game because we don't
know them.
No, I've seen gameplay videos of Witcher 3. I need to play it. I've had people for years telling me how good it was. And it's like, dude, you got to play it. And they're also like, but it's like 50 to 60 hours. I'm like, I don't have 50 to 60 hours to play one game.
Kind of time.
We don't have that kind of time. So I'll just watch some gameplay videos and I'll get the gist of what you're talking about. But they're trying to use Google Trends now to claim that The Witcher was more popular than The Mandalorian. Now, this is where, again, when these companies don't release their numbers, and I'll tell you why I think they don't release their numbers. And this is a conversation I had with, I forget who I was talking to, but we're having a talk about YouTube versus Disney Plus and, God, I can't remember exactly what we're talking about. But anyway, we're saying that the reason that Netflix doesn't have a view count or Disney Plus doesn't have a view count is people would look at it and be like, wow, a PewDiePie video gets like way more hits than The Mandalorian. That's
probably true.
You know, and people would start making comparisons between how badly these paid shows are doing compared to YouTube. And advertisers would be like, well, why are we, let's just put our money into YouTube.
That's a valid point. I never thought about that, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I think they keep all these numbers on the download, because compared to YouTube, which is free, these numbers are probably going to look pathetic. It'd be like, oh, The Witcher was watched, this episode was watched 70,000 times or whatever.
More than that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was millions, but still, they'd be like, oh, that's great. PewDiePie's last video had more views than The Witcher had.
Or as many as, The Witcher had.
Yeah, right. So that's why they think that they hide the numbers. Plus, the competition will start bragging and they'll start trying to one-up each other and all that. But Netflix is using Google Trends to claim The Witcher was more popular than Mandalorian. We talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we did before, yeah.
So you pretty much just have to trust Netflix, trust Netflix that The Witcher is their most popular show. And Google Trends, there are more searches for The Witcher than there are for The Mandalorian. Now, we know The Mandalorian's pretty popular, but again, that's like the only draw on Disney Plus at this point.
Well, yeah, but like they mentioned and I mentioned, Disney Plus is only available in a few countries right now. Now, it is going to come to some countries in Western Europe and the UK March. They moved up to the 24th from the 31st. And then later in the summer, it's going to some more Western European places. So, Netflix has a much further reach and way more subscribers as well. So, that does play into it. To be fair. Yeah,
so they're talking worldwide like The Witcher just destroys it because of that, probably because of that. But then they said if they adjust it to the US, you can still see...
It's still bigger, you're right.
It's still bigger. It's not, look, they're kind of catching up here a little bit, but it's The Witcher is still more popular than The Mandalorian.
But no matter how you slice it, it's popular, and it's rated R. So I do think this proves that there is an audience for R-rated content. Because there used to be R-rated content either in the 90s and the early 2000s. You know, you see it all the time, but it's like I would say in the last, I don't know, several years, it just seems that they keep trying to make more PG-13 and less R-rated things. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just seems that way. And now I think they're swinging it back the other way.
Well, I think it's just in general, it seems like I do feel like the pendulum is swinging. I think what happened was a lot of the PG-13, and we look at this. I was thinking about this the other day about cartoons. Because we talk a lot about cartoons on this channel too,
and R-rated shows.
And R-rated shows.
Well, just run the gambit, you know.
But I'm thinking, and we had an animator from Rock and Roll on, John Celestri. We had him on. We talked about that, and those kinds of movies aren't gonna happen now, where it's like adult animation. And I'm thinking back even to Transformers the movie. When I was a kid, they were killing cartoon characters on screen. Sometimes brutally. Like Transformers the movie is like the most brutal cartoon movie. They like killed the entire toy line off.
The 80s was much edgier anyway on all the shows. I mean, you had Care Bears fighting demons.
Yeah.
Demonic books. You had My Little Ponies fighting basically a demon.
Literally Satan. They're fighting. Yeah.
You had Secret of Nim, and you had Dark Crystal and all that. So it was a lot edgier, a lot darker than what kids get now. And now you get Thundercats where
well, no, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Because of Thundercats where we had the conversation of how like dumbed down kids cartoons have become. Transformers are killing each other, whatever. But then you look at like Megatron in the 80s, like how does he deal with problems? He shoots a bitch.
They don't want that. That's problematic.
He's a bad guy. He's not going to hug it out. But you look at something like Steven Universe, and again, like I can appreciate Steven Universe for what it is.
It's original. Right? It's its own thing.
But they always convert the bad guys. They always hug it out.
Yeah, goodness makes the badness go away.
And that's not how it works in the real world, unfortunately.
No, sadly it doesn't. I mean, if someone's threatening you, hugging them isn't going to probably fix it. I'm just saying.
No, you give them a hug and they stab you in the back.
Yeah, it's just, the world hasn't changed. The shows try to change because I think a lot of it, and I'm just going to say this flat out, people that are running these shows are the same people who are screaming about how we should have pretended like World War II didn't happen because it makes them feel icky. And they'd rather just, let's focus on the positive, guys, and not remember the negative. The negative makes me feel bad and makes me feel scared, and so I don't want to do that. So we need to maybe just focus on all the positive things instead.
But it did seem like the 80s were
for the shows
edgier. I mean, even like RoboCop. Like I said, I was watching RoboCop when I was a kid.
You really like RoboCop.
I like RoboCop. I love the original RoboCop. But they, blew his arms and legs off and whatever. But then they had a RoboCop cartoon with a toy line. Aliens. Toy line.
Maybe
R-rated.
Maybe they're backpedaling on all this stuff because of the amount of violence in schools and things, though, too.
Well, that could be too. But I think it's definitely a generational thing. And I think people today are, because everything going on, kids today are like, what, we can handle it. Yeah, we can handle, things being a little edgier.
Yeah, we're school having lockdowns for, gun threats. We can handle a little bit edge. But I think what they're trying to do is, because they have this in their head, it's like they think video games causes people to go violent and all that. I think they have it in their heads, well, if we show everybody being friends and that's how you stop violence is by hugging, then people aren't going to go to schools and shoot the schools up. As opposed to the 80s where if we have Megatron shooting things, you know what I'm saying? I think that's their logic. Whether or not it's sound is up for debate.
Yeah,
but I think that's what they're thinking.
I think that there might be some of it, but I mean, basically, it's like people are like, let's get real. Let's we can have, given what's going on, we can handle boobs and swords and stuff.
Right. And I think that the point is, I think there's an audience for boobs and swords and stuff.
Yeah, clearly there's an audience for boobs. We're gonna start. That's it. We're gonna pitch a show to Netflix. It's gonna be called Boobs and Swords and stuff.
Swords and stuff. And that's gonna be with Agent Double D too.
Agent Double D, boobs and swords and stuff.
Yeah.
That one would have been scrambled in the 1980s.
Sure. Yeah.
You just would have
heard. It won't get made now, but it would be scrambled.
You would have heard the clanging of swords and the bouncing of the Double Ds, and probably
they don't make noise when they bounce.
They do in this version.
Okay, so
in this show they do.
From personal experience, they do not.
Agent Double D has her own soundtrack, so when she walks and jiggles,
so
it plays
like
the music.
Baywatch?
It's like Family Guy. But she's actually got her own sound effect, and probably lifted from some Japanese Sentai show or something. That would
okay, anyway.
That's the show in my head.
This whole thing was supposed to be about The Witcher.
See, I make up these shows in my head because I had to watch scrambled TV when I was a kid, so I just make this stuff up.
Okay.
Anyway, The Witcher, doing very well. Supposedly better than The Mandalorian.
But they're getting a cartoon show.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. Speaking of cartoons and all of that.
I think that's where you were going originally, but we kind of went.
Yeah, that's where we were going. Gavel again.
Well, there were rumors. Was he doing the voice? There were rumors that they were doing this, and then I guess it's been confirmed because they said it was rumors before, but I think it's been.
Yeah, they said there's a WGA entry. At least a few of the basic details concerning the animated spin-off have been confirmed. The project is an animated film produced by Netflix titled The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf.
That makes sense. Nightmare
of the Wolf. That sounds very 80s. That sounds very metal. That sounds like an album. Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf.
That sounds like an album.
That's my air guitar.
That sounds like folk music. It's like Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. Folk music. Throw a coin to your Witcher. Anyway.
See if they had an album. There's a metal version of it. There is a metal version of that. There it is. It's toss a coin to your Witcher, and they have
whatever it is. Toss a coin to your Witcher. I know, I'm bad.
Boobs and swords and stuff.
Boobs aplenty.
Boobs aplenty. Now that would get some views. That would be the most popular. That is the Yennefer spin-off, Boobs aplenty.
There you go. That's right. So it's written by the Witcher staff writer who was behind this episode 1, Betrayer Moon. So yeah.
What's interesting to note is the writer seemed to hint at a number of surprises. Surprises in The Witcher. Pretty important. Surprise! Got another kid. Which means this animated film may be the first of several similar projects to come. The original rumors described a project focusing on supporting characters, which would allow for a variety of different stories. Just like the
Clone kind of. It sounds like, it was like the Star Wars stories.
So it might be the side quests. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Like they're gonna start build. It's almost like they're trying to build their own Witcher multiverse universe.
Kind of, but it's all in the same universe. It's just
different. But like they're trying to do an MCU. Like this is the Witcher, and I don't know. It might be okay.
It might be. We'll see. But they're going to do animated version. I'm assuming this will be like kind of like Castlevania and all that. So
we're gonna have the Witcher Roar.
Well, Castlevania is very popular.
Castlevania is really popular.
Witcher Roar. No, we're not talking Witcher Roar. No.
Oh my god! I got this pointy thing.
Lines of Castlevania type thing because it does really well on Netflix, and it's also like quite violent.
It's pretty edgy, but you know what? When you're a kid playing Castlevania in the 80s, did I mention I was a kid in the 80s? When you're playing Castlevania, it was pretty hardcore. Now the game is really hard, but it was limited by its 8 and 16-bit graphics. But it was pretty.
You can imagine it was hardcore.
You can imagine,
just like you could imagine the scramble channels.
Yeah, you can imagine if you were whipping a zombie in the face, the chunks of flesh would be flying off, even if it's just little pixels.
This is the Clownfish TV TMI episode. You learn more about that Neon than you ever really wanted to know.
All right, so Witcher, you're getting lots of Witcher. There's definitely going to be a season 2. There's definitely going to be cartoons, and they're going to milk the Witcher.
But they said rumored, but most likely cartoons.
They're gonna milk this franchise on Netflix.
Hopefully it's good.
Hopefully it's good. A good milking. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up.
Yes, please do.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.